13th, 2022. I'd like to call to order the Waukegan Public School Board of Education meeting. The board previously met in closed session under exception C9, C1, C2, C11, and C5. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Riddle.
Present.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak. Present. Mr. McBride. Ms. Gonzalez.
Here.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Present.
President Ewing.
Here. I'd now like a motion to resume open session.
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. All in favor signify with aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Meeting is resumed. For Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to ask why am I? Miss Massimo. Oh yeah. Well, I asked Miss Massimo. I'm sorry, but I do recognize some distinguished guests who are going to be coming up soon. But Miss Massimo, if you would lead us in Pledge of Allegiance, please. So for my president's report, I will keep it brief. There are two things that we have been practicing, and that's modeling the types of behaviors we want to see. And so one thing that I want to do is express my thanks to all of our staff as we get ready to go into the holiday season. I know that this has been a transition year, right? So last year we started with COVID. There were still a lot of protocols in place. This year we are back in full person, but we've had our students dealing with a lot, our staff are dealing with a lot, and so I want to make sure that I express my gratitude is because I know that it has been heavy, right? Is when you go into those classrooms and you know the need, but we are all human, right? Even as an individual on this board, it has been a very heavy season, and so as we prepare for Christmas break, I do hope that our staff get some much deserved rest and relaxation and time with their families. A majority of the board did attend the CUBE conference, and that was rescheduled from September. It was very informative. There's some things that I know board members took away and information that we plan to bring back as it relates to that. I did want to acknowledge is that we had a compensation report. It's been on the agenda. It's completed, but it's been completed. The request to hold it over is not based on that firm. That was some of the conversation I've heard. It's been decision by myself as doing the agenda and everything that we have to get through, is we will bring it to the community as promised, and so that will be happening in January when we come back from the holiday break. I hope that individuals have had the opportunity to get around to many of our concerts, and that's why I call them Miss Massimo. I know it's a very, very busy time as there are concerts at every building, and multiple ones. So we appreciate the efforts of our Fine Arts Department, which is a great segue as we have Bravo, who are our friends in District 60, of District 60, who will be presenting later on. But I wish you all a happy holiday. I do have a lot that I want to say, but I would like to get through the meeting. But unfortunately, I'm here another night as our community grieves. I've said that many times, and we can't continue operating business as usual because students and children are literally dying. And so if we don't embrace it with the heaviness that it is, I don't understand. If we don't embrace it with the heaviness that it is, and the realization that our students are entering our buildings with immense amounts of trauma, and that we have to rethink how we are doing things as an educational system, that's what I will be struggling with this holiday season. So I thank you. I appreciate you all for coming out this evening. We do have a packed agenda, and unfortunately the board was not able to get through the entirety of its closed session, so we will be going into closed session after our meeting. but I did want to, as much as possible, respect your time, and so I once again apologize for starting the meeting after 7 p.m. Next up is our student board member report, and we have our student board member, Ms. Gutierrez, who is here this evening.
Good evening, everyone. So, as the holidays and breaks are around the corner, I hope everyone is uplifting in the holiday spirits. Today, I wanted to acknowledge two groups that have been there in their very own spirit. That is the Waukegan High School cheer team and the JROTC program. Last Friday, the cheer team and I went and volunteered at Clark Elementary for their event with Santa, as well as the JROTC program, who has been invited to volunteer at 2 elementary schools for their winter events. I bring this up because it shows that these fine organizations bring out the leadership skills that we students have. Not only are they volunteering, but they are interacting and influencing the younger students to one day step up onto their level. While volunteering and influencing require leadership skills, I have held my word from the beginning that I wanted to bring in a guest speaker. This early in the summer, Mr. Riddle and the Little Fort Lions Club gave me and other students the opportunity to attend the World Affairs Seminar at Carroll University. This is where I met a wonderful keynote speaker who specializes in speaking about leadership and the tools of life. I have met with him and Mr. Hill to implement further actions and bring him to Waukegan as a speaker. Although I don't have all the details yet, I'm excited to say that this is a step into bringing out and creating more leadership mindsets in our school district. It has been an honor to serve as a student board member, and before my term ends, I wanted to make an impact on not only entrepreneurship, but leadership skills. By finishing off, I wanted to bring in this guest speaker and maybe visit at least 2 or 3 more elementary schools to talk to the students about student work ethic. And I'm excited for this term's elections and wish luck to the candidates running. That's all for today. Thank you.
Mr. McBride.
I may be short and late, but the next time she gets up and speak, I was looking in the audience. You got a lot of Hispanics out there probably didn't understand what she just said in English.
We do have translators at every meeting, and so they're in the back of the room, and we provide headphones for those that need translation services.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We are now at our special recognition and presentations, and we have some very special guests in that. We'll start off with our first special guest, and that is Bravo Waukegan.
Yay, all right. Yay.
Good evening, board members and friends. My name is Glenn Roberts, and I'm the president of Bravo Waukegan, leading the board of directors. I'm joined this evening by our executive director, Carrie Walker, and several members of our board here, including the daughter of our founder, Pat Sykorowski. That's Emily DiMichelli. I'm pleased to make a short presentation this evening and appreciate the time you've given us. First of all, I'm going to provide an update on what Bravo's been up to in the last year or so. And the subtitle of my presentation was, "What if I had learned to play the clarinet?" So there's a short excerpt about that. But first of all, I want to let you know that one thing that won't change is Bravo's commitment to our mission statement. And the mission statement's on the next slide. The next slide is our mission statement. It's short and simple. Basically, Bravo exists to support music education for the students in Waukegan Public Schools through the programs that we deliver. We've been established for over 12 years, and we're stronger than ever, and really appreciate the opportunity to provide the programming that we do. Now, the next slide indicates some of the accomplishments that Bravo achieves with your support year over year. Specifically in the last year, one thing that we do really to get things going, we host and facilitate the registration for the music program in the district. Several hundred students pass through, and over 3 evenings, our team, our staff, board members, and other volunteers help with that registration. So hundreds of students can be facilitated in getting instruments and signing up. Our instrument collection donations from the public is stronger than ever, and any given week instruments are continually coming in. We estimate certainly well over 1,000 instruments have been brought into Bravo over the years, and we arrange for the refurbishment and the distribution of these instruments to the students with your support in great condition and at a very reasonable price point for the families. We continue Bravo Buddies, which is one of our flagship programs. It's a 4-week summer camp, and it provides music instruction, individual lessons, and field trips. And for the last 3 years, we provided this at no charge to the student families. The mariachi band is also highly in demand. The Mariachi Estrellas, led by Katie Dudley, are getting weekly requests for performances, and they're just doing wonderful. I totally enjoy every time I get the opportunity to spend time with them. We have a newer program called Raise the Bar, which is a partnership between Bravo and National Public Radio to provide high-end, high-caliber music education provided by interns from some of the most renowned music institutions in the country for our high school students. It's a wonderful opportunity that basically comes to that the interns are not charging for. We have some cost for programming this through a lot of coordination. Again, the enrollment has increased, and we start the year January, February in developing the rollout of this program. Next, I want to talk then, just reflecting back about what was that about learning to play the clarinet. I have to reel back a few years myself to when I was a 4th grader in the Evanston School District, and I was going to sign up for my first instrument. I wanted to learn to play clarinet. I thought it was a fascinating instrument. When it came to my turn to go for my instrument, there were no clarinets left. They handed me a trombone and said, "Why don't you try this?" That it didn't work out so great for me. By the time of the year-end recital in front of the families and parents, the instructor realized where I was at with the trombone and just said, "Move your arm like the other kids, but don't blow through the mouthpiece." Well, fortunately, I grew to love music, many genres. I grew up with the Beatles, with classic rock, Motown, and I still love all those and many more genres today. So while it might be a little surprising that I found my way into Bravo Waukegan, it makes me realize that if there were a Bravo for me at that time, maybe I would have had a more creative, younger existence and could have tried other things. I wound up in a career in supply chain management and finished up at AbbVie on Sheridan Road, just down the road here. And so I'm just pleased as ever that to be involved in putting energy into seeing how Bravo can sustain ourselves. And that's what brings us to this point. We're in a transformational stage for Bravo. We have done many things that I want to share with you. And specifically, to start with, our board, which has grown a little bit. We have added members with backgrounds in business management, in finance, in law, and education. And this rounds us out with the existing members, and we are preparing ourselves for the future. We are forming ourselves. We already have formed 3 committees that the board is involved with. The committees are fundraising, community engagement, and governance. And I'm going to briefly outline the responsibilities of those committees. 6 months ago, we started meeting on a bi-weekly basis with your district fine arts coordinator, Lori Massimo, who's here this evening, and I appreciate the support that Lori has given us. Carrie and one of our board members, in this case Barb Steinzeifer, meet with Lori on a bi-weekly basis. And it really helps us stay coordinated with the events that we're planning and with the district events, as well as helping to prioritize and make sure we're delivering as well as we can to the students. The fundraising committee we felt was absolutely critical to put more energy into. We are seeing donors disappear from our ranks, individuals that have passed away and otherwise may have become harder to reach due to COVID or other reasons. So we need to find new sources of revenue, and this team is chartered to do just that. We are increasing our effort in finding foundations, family foundations, in local corporations, and our effort with grant writing and other individuals to try to really do what we can to increase the funding for Bravo, because we're at a critical point financially where we need to find some new sources of revenue. The slide that is on the screen now really reflects the work of the Outreach Committee, the Community Engagement Committee, and they are chartered to really find ways to spread our wings and broaden our network into the community with the district, with the families, and with the community, all in support of the students. So the diagram may be a little bit hard to see, but those are the elements all there to support the students. So they will look to make inroads in various ways that some we've done at some point, but we need to do more to find ways and engage really the community even further with Bravo. So it's such a positive story we have, and we are looking for more ground level support, and we look for your assistance in any ways that you can help us through these networks and ideas, perhaps with the Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, to help us to deepen our efforts and engagement. The governance committee exists to ensure that Bravo is complying with any regulations and to see that we are effectively managing the organization. So those three committees work together. Then the other part is our first ever Bravo alumni ambassadors who have now their own board, and there are 4 members there shown here. We asked if they could be able to join us, but they were unable to join us. So I hope that at a future meeting we can have them come in and say hello. They're being led partly by Annie Berry and by Barb Steinzeifer. So we're looking for them to help keep fresh ideas for Bravo and how we can keep our students fully engaged. With that, I want to mention that I appreciate your support personally. Bravo appreciates your support. We look forward to extending our relationship with you. And now I'd like Carrie Walker, our executive director, to share briefly a recent experience in the district. Carrie?
Good evening. So this is a personal story. I was asked to be a guest principal. It was an amazing experience. I was principal at Hyde Park School, and Brian Carr being principal, and then also Melissa Lachelle being assistant, really made me feel so comfortable being there. We greeted the students off the bus. We watched them play in the play yard, and I saw them all line up, very well behaved, enter the classrooms, and then what else happened? I took a tour, and I read a storybook to 2 kindergarten classrooms. And, you know, the kids are so great. You know, they wanted to give me a hug, and one of them actually said, "Can you come by my house? I live 3 blocks down. It's gray, and you can definitely find it." I said, "Honey, I probably can't, but thank you." And she said, "Really?" So you know, my heart goes out to the kids. And I really appreciate what the teachers do and the leadership team of each school and all of you, because you are setting a wonderful, I don't know, what am I trying to say? Example, institution, model, I don't know. But it is trickling down. And so what my point is, I just want to thank you for doing the hard work you do, and let you know that I experienced it in the classrooms, and and the smiles on the faces, and just the hugs and the everything else. Oh, and then it was really sweet too. You know, when the kids come in, some of them grab breakfast, and so they were loading their little, you know, breakfast baskets, and with proud, you know, it's just like, this is what we do. The school was, the facility was spotless. The artwork on the wall was all genuine. It was all kids' artwork. It was beautiful. And I can't say enough about Brian and Melissa. They are truly A+. So congratulations. And thank you for the experience.
Thank you. Thank you. So there are two individuals in the audience that we want to recognize also from Bravo, longtime principal, Ms. Dr. Steincypher, if she would just wave. There we go. And we also have Dr. Lamping, who is in the office as well, so we appreciate you for coming back. And if there are any other individuals from Bravo who may be attending, if you all, we just want to recognize and thank you.
Yeah, could everybody stand? Could all the Bravo people stand?
Miss Dudley. Wow, Miss Dudley. Yeah, Miss Dudley. Thank you.
And very briefly, Mr. White, I sent an email. If you can pull that image up, please.
Resty and Charles.
Charles as well. Charles is doing a lot of work.
Look at this.
So,
I said, oh my goodness.
so this is what I want to show you are the fruits of your labor. Is when I met Ms. Zafarowski, right, a woman who saw that we were possibly on the brink of eliminating our music education program, and who stepped up and galvanized the community in order to make sure that we still have music. Plato said music is a more potent instrument than any other for education because rhythm and harmony find their way into the inward places of the soul. And so I just want to say thank you for the partnership, and that I am a direct benefit along with tons of students in District 60 of those efforts. And that is my baby boy Josiah, who is playing the violin, right? And Ms. Dudley, he does practice, unlike the other one. So I blame you, but he is trying, and he told me, he said, that's not a C. I told him he sounded good, and he said, that's not a C. I said, okay, well, thank you. We appreciate you always for updating us and coming out, and we appreciate your efforts and look forward to a continued partnership. All right, next up on our agenda is we have our swim program. We'll look at briefly. Spotlight on 60 Swim Smart.
Thank you all, Bravo. Thank you. Yay, Bravo.
Thank you.
This great program is in partnership with the Waukegan Parks Foundation, the Waukegan Park District, and the Waukegan School District. The way this program came about is, of course, living in Waukegan, we live in a lakefront, and so being exposed to water, we just have to make sure that a lot of the Waukegan community is getting a lot of those really important water safety skills, especially early on in their childhood. So we work closely with the Waukegan School District, and they figure out the busing and the food, everything like that. And then from there, the Waukegan Park District takes over. When the kids arrive, we do a general introduction.
My name is Mr. Tony. Got Miss Bree. Kids, please make sure to listen to each of the different instructors, as every area has its own rules and they're to keep you safe.
Then we separate them out into 3 different groups. So we have our aquatic center, which is here. We have our gym. That's where we hold our other 2 groups, which is our athletic station as well as our fitness station. And then they each get to visit each one, and then they rotate. So every single elementary school, as well as the private schools that are in Waukegan, gets experiences. For right now, it is a second grade specifically, and that's because that's sort of like the level where they're able to grasp a lot of those skills. And it's early on enough where as long as we're hitting that grade level, we should be able to hit, them, the majority of the groups as they're growing older. So right now today we have McCall Elementary School. We have about 50 kids, and all 50 second graders, 3 classes specifically, are enjoying the swim lessons today. So we actually have some lifeguarding staff as well as some of our actual swim lesson instructors. So what they're doing is they're teaching the very basic water safety skills. So how to get into a pool, just a body of water in general, how to exit the pool, a body of water, how to float, as well as just some very basic strokes. So these are the types of skills that if they were to get in a body of water, they'd be able to either one, float and just stay in the body of water in a safe manner, or also be able to exit the pool in a safe manner as well. After they're done with their water safety skills, the great thing is that they get some time in the kiddie pool. That is a lot less water, and therefore they can just play with their friends, and it's just a very different school day for them. We're very happy to be offering a program like this. Water safety is just so important because you are literally saving lives by teaching these skills. We're very happy for this partnership, and as you can tell, the kids are very happy too.
Yeah, so I want to say this is an amazing program, Ms. Wozniak.
Yes, we're proud to have 3 other board members here. If you could stand, Teddy Anderson, Shelby McDonald, and Shmia Newsom. And they're all board members. They're all Waukegan Parks Foundation board members. And we work hard to raise money to keep this program going. It does cost us we support it through paying for the swim instructors, lifeguards. The buses and food are supplied by the school district, so thank you for the partnership there. And we also provide swimsuits if the children do not have them. So it's a great program, and I'm glad to see it's come back after COVID.
Thank you. And
Can I say something?
Go ahead, yeah, Miss.
Yeah, I want to shout out, because when I say I know everyone at the field house, I feel like I know everyone. But I wanted to shout out Javier Martinez, Tony Strack, Justin Farias, who is a swim instructor. He was in the video. Josue Pasillas, who does the communications for the Park District. I mean, when I say that there's so many Waukegan alumni at the Park District and around this community, there are so many of us. And I feel like I just want to recognize them because they do work with our students that we don't really get to see because it's in another site. So I'm so grateful for the program, for them, and for the foundation for sponsoring that program.
Great, thank you.
And I definitely want to thank the foundation and all the members, but I also want to recognize board member Callahan Wozniak, who is tireless. She fought along with the board in order to bring this program back. She understands the importance of water safety, and she tried with all her might to get it to happen last year, and because of COVID it couldn't, and so she made sure that we didn't see this program go by the wayside. So we just want to say thank you for those efforts.
You're welcome.
All right. And next up, we have the swearing in of our Ethics Commissioner, Miss LaTanya Burton. So Miss Burton is in the audience. She hails from a firm in downtown Waukegan, and so we appreciate her continuing to stay on for another 2 years, Miss Burton. And so now we already have approved your appointment. So again, unanimous. But we would like to take the official oath. So if you be so kind as to go to the microphone and then repeat after me, or raise your right hand and repeat after me. Kathy told me I did it last time. So say, I, LaTanya Burton,
I, LaTanya Burton,
having been appointed to the position
having been appointed to the position
of member of the Ethics Commission,
of member of the Ethics Commission,
Community Unit School District number 60,
Community Unit School District 60
in the city of Waukegan,
in the city of Waukegan,
Illinois,
Illinois,
and the county of Lake,
in the county of Lake,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
that I will faithfully discharge the duties
of the office of the officer
of the office of the officer
of member of the Ethics Commission
of member of the Ethics Commission
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
in accordance with the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
the Constitution of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
and the laws of the State of Illinois,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations, Ms. Burton, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I just want to confirm, we did approve the appointment at a previous meeting. Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. Oh, perfect. We're just making sure that we got that oversight. So next up, we have our approval of the minutes. So we have approval of the minutes of the open session board workshop from June 2nd, 2022. And then we have item 8B, approval of the minutes of the open session from the board member September 27, 2022.
Board President, I'll make a motion that we approve both items as presented.
Motion by Mr. Riddle to approve
Second.
both items. Second by Ms. Leguizamo for items A and B. Any comments, questions, corrections? All in favor signify with aye. Aye. Any opposed, nay. Minutes are approved. We now have our opportunity for public comment. Thank you. First name on the, when I call your name, please come up to the microphone. I am going to ask that you will get 3 minutes. The clock will be on the screens around the room. If you need translation services will be provided to you. I do ask that you refrain from using staff or student names in your remarks. First name on the list is Ray Vukovic. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Vukovic, and you start speaking, your time will begin.
Yes, hi, good evening. I'd like to speak about the item on the agenda pertaining to 916 Washington Street. It's an item that I brought to this board's attention through the FOIA process in the summer of 2020. And it was a lot that the district acquired. It was free. It was given to the board some 10 years ago. And through the FOIA process, we've found that this district has spent over $82,000 to demolish buildings, put parking lots, etc. And when I put the FOIA in, Mr. Morris, who was the board attorney at the time, responded that it was used for excess parking for Washington campus. But every time you went by there were tow trucks, junk cars, etc., etc. So now I see that there's a lease being proposed tonight, which is kind of a step in the right direction. That was a year ago that the board president told me that the board attorney was working on that. And this is the lease after 1 year. And you've got an $82,000 expenditure by taxpayers for this property. And you're going to be paid $1,200 a year for that lease. It will take almost 70 years to pay that back, what the taxpayers paid. Meantime, standing in the lot, looking a few hundred feet across Washington Street, during this 10-year period of time, this district expanded a parking lot over there. Right hand, left hand, what's going on? Now let's, 3 blocks away on the corner of Edison and Washington, the county owns property that they leased to a similar type business. And using the same lease, and this is just the last month, if you use their price, it would generate $3,600 a year. So, I don't know where that number came from. But, parking doesn't seem to be the forte here, because you guys have the 214 Washington Street building that you're going to move all these services in and create new things with 64 parking spaces. 64. This building has over 160 parking spaces. Where are people going to park? When the principals come down there for a meeting, what are there, 25 principals? Where are they going to park? Metered parking? Where are the staff going to park? Where are the parents who come down there to? Has that been thought about? Because remember, you did not buy the structure to the west, which was the motor banking facility, so you can't use that for parking. 64 parking spaces. That's all you have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vukovic. Next name on the list is Kershana Hanna. And your time will begin whenever you start speaking, Ms. Hanna.
So, good evening, board members and the community. My name is Kershana Hanna, and I just wanted to come and speak to you guys and bring something to your attention that you may not know. I know the superintendent is aware of it, but I'm not sure about the other board members. It was brought to my attention that the Waukegan High School soccer team, both varsity and JV, the varsity team won the regional championship and went to the sectionals for state. The JV soccer team went undefeated at 14-0, and the schools did not, or the board did not acknowledge or honor this soccer team as they should have, or they didn't recognize them as they should have. So my question to you guys tonight is, can you guys recognize the soccer team for their accomplishments? Because what they accomplished has never been done in Waukegan High School history as far as winning a championship and going downstate. And to overlook them as students, that doesn't raise the morale among students or anything like that. And I know that a lot of times things are negative when we come up to this podium and speak to you guys, and I don't want the negative to overshadow what they did by winning the championship and going to state and their accomplishments. And I'm just asking that there's something that you guys can do to recognize and acknowledge their win and their accomplishments.
Thank you, Ms. Hanna. Next name on the list is Mark Shinkton. Time will begin whenever you start speaking, Mr. Shinkton.
All right, good evening. The reason I'm here is for Category 19, Old Business. But before I get to that, I ran across this article, and it was printed in just a few weeks ago, November 30th. And it talked about a former California professor that gave all of her students A's and no homework to decolonize the classroom. So now, to paraphrase this, because I only have a small amount, I didn't know what decolonize means. So it means breaking from norms. So her rationale was she gave all the students A's, there were no homework, there were no tests. It actually even said she built in weeks of excused absences for sicknesses or family obligations. So whether or not you even came to school, you still got an A. So my first knee-jerk reaction was California. Okay. So
But coming back to the old business of the graduation policy, that we're going to change at the high school, I was thinking, now, maybe some of this in some portions makes some sense. So I started looking at it through, because item 2 says, we must reimagine what education looks at our high school. So I went back to the credits that we're removing. Well, we're allowing the students to take the classes. And whether they pass or fail, they'll still be able to graduate. But we're going to allow that GPA to count. So are we putting up an indirect barrier for someone to have success because now their grade point is going to suffer? It's going to be a much harder task to get yourself into, say, a college or, post if your grade point is low. So, maybe we need to start looking before we approve if.
Thank you, Mr. Shington. Next name is Randy Sabecki. And Mr. Sabecki, when you start speaking, your time will begin.
Good evening, board and community. So tonight I want to talk about a couple things. November 28th, which was a Monday, I had the opportunity to meet with Mr. LeBaron over at Washington campus. Talking to a lot of students, there's been some problems over there. I've been told bathrooms have been locked. Students can't find the bathrooms. I know there's a 10-minute before class, at the beginning of the period or end of the period, the bathrooms are locked. Well, one of the security guards that is responsible for unlocking those even admitted to us half the time those bathrooms still don't get unlocked. So that's a problem. We can't be locking bathrooms in our buildings. I know there's a lot of problems with the vaping, the smoking in the bathrooms and that. Well, then that needs to be addressed by security personnel in that, but we can't be locking the bathrooms. Do we lock the bathrooms here at Lincoln Center during the day? Bet not. So that's one thing that needs to be looked at. And then also walking the building, we went, I think, 3 or 4 classrooms, I believe. A lot of OSHA violations over there at that school. So I don't know how many of you guys actually frequent the school, but there's missing tiles. There's fire extinguishers missing from some of the rooms. Some of the interior rooms that don't even have windows. In the rooms, there's no fire extinguishers. There's fire extinguishers downstairs in the offices on the floor, which are required to be hanging on the wall. All the windows in a lot of the rooms that we went into were wide open, all the way, 3rd floor, all the way open. Why do we have where the windows can open all the way and the whole building's AC now? So what's the purpose of the windows all being open? We have a lot of depression in the community the kids are going through. What happens if a kid decides, to take their life from the 3rd floor? Because it's accessible. Heating ducts wide open that were being repaired or fixed or whatnot. Pieces just laying on the floor in the classrooms. Still wires hanging in some of the classrooms over there. All this needs to be looked at. What else was it? Bathrooms. There's one other thing, I just can't think of it right now. But if you guys can look at that stuff and get it taken care of, because that is a concern of a lot of students. If you actually go to the high school and talk to them, that's what a lot of them have concerns about. Oh, the other one, the heating ducts. When we were in the library, one of the teachers actually came up to us and asked us if we were coming to look at the heating ducts and the black stuff coming out, the ductwork. In the library, there's black on the ceilings. And one of the classrooms on the 3rd floor that we went into, the classroom was very hot. And there's actually black marks all the way up and down the wall and stuff that's black floating around the rooms. There was a 2x4 bolted to the wall covering that vent. That's another thing. There's a lot of people going home sick, as the teacher said. We should have air quality tests done in those rooms.
Thank you, Mr. Sabecki. Next name on the list is Christine Lindsay.
Good evening, everyone. I wanted to focus my comment tonight around the upcoming 5-year strategic plan, otherwise referred to as Destination 2028. The district has kindly held 5 town halls asking for feedback on overall perceptions of the district. What are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Upcoming challenges, and how we as individuals can support the district. The current timeline has the board reviewing and approving this framework in January or February. I've sent emails to all of the board members with my concerns around this timing, with the board president acknowledging some of my concerns. I want to ensure that the public is aware that we're in a board election year. Clearly noted by President Ewing when reviewing the superintendent's goals last meeting. It stands that the current board, and I quote, would not want to tie a future board to the KPIs set by this board when everyone may not be here. So these goals and these KPIs are specific to this 1 year, and then any board will come back and we will see at the end of this year where we need to be. Surely the 5-year strategic plan that would guide this district is more important, if not just as important, than Superintendent Placencia's annual goals. I'm asking for the same consideration to be had for what is hoped to be a strong framework for progress. If Destination 2028 is as strong as it can be, it will hold up for the post-election Waukegan Board of Education, a board that I expect will make policy decisions based on the framework, as they are the ones that should approve it. The current board has not consistently tied its decisions or its policies back to Destination 2022. This is something that I look to see changed for Destination 2028. We have to hold ourselves accountable. We must have a clear focus. I'm happy to provide anyone a copy of the email or communications that have been sent. Should we need a petition to hold the approval of Destination 2028, I would expect to be contacted 30 days prior to the decision and the finalization of this framework. Also, with the little time I have left, as people are gearing up for the holidays, I just want to send my heart out to all of those who have lost family members and are going to be missing individuals at their table. I hope their memory brings you some comfort during this difficult season. Good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Lindsay. Next name is Brother Blanks.
Brother Blanks, Black Abolition Movement for the Mind. First and foremost, let me send a shout out to a couple of administrators that I know is doing an outstanding job in the district, and that is Dean Dupuy and the principal, Mr. Compos, over at the McGill Warriors. Those guys are doing some real good work over there. Now, on another note, the swim program, outstanding, excellent idea. As an Eagle Scout, swimming was a required merit badge for me. But I don't know if that was an accurate reflection of the participation of the students that are taking part in the program. However, I do know there is a deficit in my community of young people knowing how to swim. So I would definitely like to see, hopefully you guys can find a way to promote maximum participation for all students, whether it be the swim program or any other programs in the district. But definitely swimming is important. So see what you can do with this important program in swimming to make sure it's promoted in a way that all kids are aware and that all the students get a chance to participate in such an important program. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Brother Blanks. Final name on the list is Mr. Rayon Edwards.
board. You know, a lot of times I think where we go wrong at is when we try to hide information from each other. And one of the things about being transparent is just like really being honest. Over the course of the last few weeks, being out in the community, I'm hearing about closed door session meetings, investigations going on that has not been board approval. But as I get to digging and doing research myself, there's a disparity here, right? We are picking and choosing who we are disciplining and when we are disciplining them. So Mr. Thompson gets suspended for like 4 days. We have an ESS officer over there in Brookside who goes to the classroom and get our kid, bring that kid to her office, and allow the police to come up in there and take that kid, and she's still at work. I don't understand that. We got an HR director right downstairs who have hired somebody that went into Jack Benny School, and however it happened, a kid ended up with a black eye, and he's still at work. Please help me understand it. I'm not understanding why. We got an assistant principal right over there at Brookside who gave a child a concussion. She's still at work. But I remember so clearly, and I watched it before I got here, the board meeting when the family came up here and spoke about the young man being hit by the Jack Benny staff. Our superintendent said that this would never happen in our district, and anyone that puts their hands on our kids would be fired. Why is she still at work at Brookside? Why haven't we talked about that? We haven't addressed the issue where a kid was locked in a bathroom by staff. We haven't addressed that. But I often think about Dr. Hillary and what's going on with her and why she's not here. And how I know that if she was here, some of these things would have been addressed as far as outside of the district. We'd have somebody go talk to these parents because ain't nobody done that at all. I have, but you guys haven't. And just sitting in an audience and just listening to a guy talk about all of the things that's going on in the district, I often wonder how many of you board members actually knew that. How often do y'all get a chance to go into these schools and look around and see things? Do y'all even know what OSHA approval is supposed to look like? If you don't know what it's supposed to look like, how are you going to point it out? As I sit and I watch the video of you guys being out of town, I watch so many other districts talked about taking bonds and building new buildings and all of the things they got to do. And I did not see District 60 say nothing. I don't understand. Do we have anything to be proud of? I mean, there's some good things going on, but come on, y'all. Mr. Riddle, you know, I've known you a long time. Right is right and wrong is wrong. It's time to level this playing field because it's not leveled at all.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. We do appreciate all the public comments. I will ask that individuals that were responsible for addressing those areas reach out to those that came forward. We are now going to continue with our consent agenda. These items through the consent agenda, any board member can request that any items be voted on separately. For any reason, these items should be non-controversial and pre-discussed or pre-discussed. This is done in order to expedite the board meetings. So at this point, are there any board members that would like anything held over? If so, just give me the letter.
Board President?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to request to take these in omnibus together.
So you want to, so that's the request. I'm going to defer to the board. So we got a motion to take.
Second that.
Oh, she make a motion.
So we got a second.
Oh, you got a motion?
Yeah, we got a motion by Ms. Leguizamo. Second was Ms. Gonzalez. So we're going to take.
But aren't they all the same? They
pretty much.
No, they're different.
They're
kinds.
different consent agendas as based on your recommendation, Ms. Hannah, that we take academics and operations separately. So what Ms. Leguizamo is proposing is that we take items 10A through C and 11A through B as one board action.
Oh, sorry. My motion is for 10A through C, omnibus. We'll take it one section at a time.
Omnibus. So you want to vote on each item individually?
No, together.
That's what it is.
It's a consent agenda.
Yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
So just motion to approve items
Yep,
10A
motion.
through C.
Yes.
Okay,
And
motion
that's
by
what
Ms.
I'm seconding.
Leguizamo,
That's what I'm
second by Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Items 10A through C,
Nothing taken
10A. So do we have our motion in second? Any comments or questions? Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. To read those into the record, 10A, renewal of partner contract with NEIU for year 4 of the EIR grant. B, renewal of partner contract with Lake County ROE for year 4 of the EIR grant. And C, renewal of partner contract with Education Potential LLC for year 4 of the EIR grant. We now have the consent agenda for item 11, our operations. So do we have any board members that would like to vote on any item separately? Seeing as there are none, do we have a motion to approve items 11A through B?
Yes, Mr. Riddle, I make a motion to approve items 11A and 11B of our consent agenda for operations.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or questions on the motion?
I am so glad that again we are acknowledging and valuing the individuals that are at the lower spectrum of our pay scale. They are so valuable in what they do because they are responsible for our children getting across streets safely. And that is a very important position. So I am so very glad that we are giving this group of people this raise in their salary. So thanks, board.
Thank you for that, Ms. Hannah, and the important work that they do. And it's with this hope that it's with this increase that we, one, want to recognize them, but two, we do this also to fill the positions. It's important that we have an individual at every one of those crossing stations, as well as backups to be able to place them when individuals call off or may not be feeling well. And so I hope the board will support this measure and appreciate those efforts.
And Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
If you can suggest to admin, the administration, to make sure that all of our dangerous streets are filled with a crossing guard.
Yeah.
Because there has been, parents contacting me about the lack of crossing guards.
And that's what I meant with staffing, so that we are aware when individuals reach out. Unfortunately, with losing some of our crossing guards to other districts, that meant that those places were vacant. But with this increase, as well as outreach efforts, I know that is the plan of our Mr. Deputy Moulton is in back to make sure that there is a crossing guard at every post, and where there are additional crossing guards needed, that we be able to look at that and expand. Mr. McBride, final comment.
What I want to address is that our crossing guards are not equipped with what they need out there. And I'm going to say that because this is my jacket. It's got crossing guard on it. And this is meant for them to see me when I stand out there. Also, along with that, our signs are this small. My sign is this big where they can see it. So I'm saying that we need to do a little bit better in terms of supplies we supply for our crossing guards when they're out there on the streets. And I am happy to say that for the audience knowledge that we gave them a raise, they're still not where they should be. Our crossing guards are $17. My salary is $22.50, and they're doing the same thing I do every day. So we have done some justice to them, some justice for them when you start looking around at other municipalities and what other municipalities are doing for their crossing guards out on the street. So it's a no-brainer if you listen to what I just said in terms of me being a crossing guard, only not in Waukegan, but North Chicago, next door. Thank you.
Ms. Leguizamo did make herself aware that she would like to make a comment.
Yes, thank you for that, Board President. This is in regards to approval of the crossing guard salary increase. I am also with fellow board member McBride in regards to getting them additional supplies or proper supply. But I'd like to just make a comment that I'd like for our operations team to please start a partnership with the City of Waukegan about prioritizing those designated areas to have side or road work paint to be visible. There's a lot of that is not visible out in our streets because our streets have not been updated, but there has been some painting done in our pavements, and the City of Waukegan is in charge of that, but maybe we can help to see and ask them to put some priority on that, especially in these areas that we have designated as high crossing areas. We can put in actual crossing paths for that to be designated on the road work. So wanted to make that comment, that recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Leguizamo. All right, we got a motion and a second. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak. Yes. Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes. Items approved, motion carries. Read those into the record. 11A, approval of crossing guard salary increase, and B, approval of facility rental waiver request for Latino soccer team. Purchases and contracts are next. We got to have items 12A, approval of mechanical improvements in multiple locations. Statement of work number 5, phase 2.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the 5th statement of work for mechanical improvements at multiple schools locations as identified in the proposal attached to this agenda item. The 5th statement of work has a total gross maximum price of $3 million and is an extension of the Master Services Agreement, which was approved at the June 22nd, 2021 board meeting, which includes mechanical work to be completed at Little Fort Elementary, Glenwood Elementary, Andrew Cook Magnet School, Clark Elementary, Waukegan Heights School, Brookside Campus, and Washington Campus.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion that we approve the recommended action as read by the superintendent of item 12A.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle. Second was from Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Question.
Go ahead, Ms. Leguizamo.
Thank you, Board President. I had submitted my questions in advance. Just wanted to see if the team had identified the answers to those. I can briefly ask them, or...
Please do.
Okay. So this is, and thank you for coming out here once again, Johnson Controls. But I was actually looking for the timeline for the high school cafeteria. As I was looking at that, I know that our high school cafeteria is currently being used to have our meal system distributed for our elementary schools, and I was wondering, will this work impact any of that distribution?
You got a microphone, Mr. Alajakis? Oh, you got it. I got it. No problem. I see it. Mr. Moulton has it.
Maybe a battery. Oh, there it goes. Just needed
All right.
some
Good
time.
evening, members of the board, superintendent, community, and staff. So we do not anticipate, so this is going to be summer 2023 work to be completed, anticipated to be completed in the fall of, prior to the fall of next year. We do not anticipate that this is going to impact the meal service program throughout the district. We still have Washington campus that's available to us to use.
Okay, because right now we're only using Brookside campus, or we're using both campuses to fulfill that meal distribution service for the elementaries?
So we're using multiple campuses during the course of the regular school year, but we're able to condense during the summer months.
That makes sense. All right, and then the last one, of course, is the exciting piece that I really love about the presentation is the high school vocational training program. It doesn't really have specific dates in there, but I was wondering if there's an already tentative date that you guys are thinking of when we're going to start getting or seeing that space constructed and having our students attending these great courses. I'm really excited about that.
So Johnson Controls is actually, has been working with operations as well as Dr. Nault's office to support that space opening in the fall. There will be some more information coming out on that, but it is our goal to have that space complete along with the rest of the construction in preparation for fall of 2023.
Wow.
Can I add a tag-along question to Lucy's question?
Ms. Gonzalez did, Ms. Hannah, yes.
Dr. Note, is that course going to be on the COG? Is it already in there? Not yet? Okay, I just wanted to know that.
Okay.
It's not in there yet, or it won't be on the COG?
It's not in there yet. We're in the process of getting the job description posted so we can potentially hire someone starting in August. They have to go through some training as well with Johnson Controls. So there's a process before we can start getting students enrolled in the course.
Sounds good.
And Ms. Hannah, I'm not Ms. Hannah, there are individuals who may not know.
Yeah.
If you would elaborate what the COG is, Dr. Nault.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Just explain.
Oh,
for the
a COG
audience.
is a course offering guide. It outlines all the courses that we offer students at the high school. So if a student wants a description of a course, what that course may be, the different levels, it's all described, it's all laid out for the students when they start to possibly identify what classes they want to take.
Thank you. Ms. Hannah, final question on this item.
And so you all have identified a location in the buildings to put this vocational area, and I was looking at it. Did I see home economics?
There is space that we've identified at Washington campus for the Johnson HVAC Johnson Controls program. Yes.
Okay, right. That's not my question. Home economics, cooking, culinary.
It's for HVAC.
I understand. There's things that, okay, because I'm still trying to get home economics back into our school district. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that question, Ms. Hannah. With that, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan-Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lekisamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. All right, we are now at item B, professional development request for Clark Elementary teachers.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize a professional development request for Jennifer Sparkman and Kaylee Cassidy to attend the Literacy Conference in Columbus, Ohio from January 28, 23 through January 31st, 23 in the amount of $3,500. Registration, hotel, per diem, mileage. The conference sessions include phonemic awareness, phonics, vocabulary fluency, and comprehension.
Mr. Riddle, I so move that we approve item 12B as
Second.
read by the superintendent.
Sorry, second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Leguizamo. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yes.
It says it.
I got a bunch of a different ones, so if I can see hands, just so I can
No,
record.
it says we already voted.
Yeah, that was my same.
So
And we didn't vote. And
It says we voted on it. Where?
it says we already voted on
The
this.
bottom, it has something.
She's. put
it'll
it
be
on.
corrected when
Yeah.
we go through the motion. So we
Okay.
got a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
Yes.
On the
No,
Yeah, I
not a
have
question.
a question.
item? Mr. Riddle, then Ms. Hannah.
Okay, I just wanted to comment that I think this is really great. This looks like they are getting as well the science of reading, which is what we heard at the conference we recently attended. So I'm glad it includes all of these areas that the science of reading elaborates. The phonemic awareness, the phonics, the vocabulary, the fluency, and comprehension. So I'm glad to see that we're sending some of our staff away for that purpose.
Ms. Hannah.
Okay, I love Miss Rodriguez that you changed your mind on the science of reading. Yeah, and but what I am opposed to is that we need to be spending money not just in spots to get this done at select elementary schools and schools. This needs to be a comprehensive effort. Our resources that we have with our ESSER money, we should be putting this, bringing in these people from Ohio. If they're good enough for a few people to go to, then these people should be brought into our school district, and they should be teaching all of our teachers how to teach children to read, because that is what the science of reading is. It's not teaching children about reading, it's teaching children how to read. And so I cannot support this because it needs to be done all through our school district. Look at our reading test scores, and evidence is that this needs to be done throughout our district and not just in spots. That when I introduced this 2 years ago to our school district, it was jumped on just like that through the bilingual program, because they understood how important it was. And so now everybody, all schools, bring this expert that they're going to take 2 people, bring them here so that they could teach 1,500 teachers.
I'm sorry.
And the science of reading is scientific research that works.
So, and then Superintendent, if you would like Ms. Rodriguez or whoever you want to address Ms. Hannah's question or concern.
Yeah, we can discuss. Dr. Nolt, I'm working on it. Dr. Nolt, can you address Ms. Hannah's concern?
Yeah, don't placate.
Well, hold on. Along with you, Dr. Nault, you're not going to the conference, and you're not the specialist as opposed to the individual that's going to be administrating the information to the students. You should also, when he get done, tell us why you think you need to go.
We can have Ms. Rodriguez speak to it also.
Okay.
So I know the science of reading has been something that we've discussed as an academic team and the importance of it, and we do see value in it for all of our schools. We do. I don't know the details of the conference. Usually when you go to a conference, there's sessions that are related to certain topics. The science of reading may be a particular topic that's offered at this session. It doesn't mean that they come out to districts and provide that same training. A lot of times they'll have a conference that essentially and a location for districts to send people to. I do know Eduardo is looking into identifying some potential professional development partners that could assist in the science of reading initiative. So we are exploring that, but schools still have the opportunity to identify also PD that they feel their staff may benefit from as well.
Ms. Rodriguez? Can you please speak in the microphone, because we're, for our families at home that are watching online.
Good evening.
Up at the podium. Nick is saying up at the podium.
Yeah, no, you're fine if you have the microphone. Oh.
I think it's because of the cameras too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. The conference is actually a national conference, and it has several topics. The science of reading is one of them. This was requested by teachers as part of a professional learning community and their goals. I'm sending a monolingual teacher and a dual language teacher that both teach 3rd grade. So they will be attending multiple sessions, not just science of reading, but all the latest trends in reading. It has not been held for over 3 years. And so that is why Clark is requesting that we send these two teachers to the conference.
Right. Board President?
Mr. Riddle.
Yeah, I thank you for that, Ms. Rodriguez, and I know that the conference that I attended and spoke to the gentleman afterwards that was giving that presentation said, you know, school districts need to start the conversation. We are not the experts. You know, it's a conversation that we have to have. It's the way we teach reading, and we may have, you know, need to make adjustments, but it's starting the conversation. So I respectfully disagree with our board member Hannah here that it needs to go to everybody at one time. It needs to start.
And we're having those
And I
conversations
think that's
at
the way to do
Clark.
it. Yeah, I would think that's the way to do it. You know, our teachers have to learn, and it's not a totally uncontroversial way anyway. So it needs to start the conversation, and I think that's what you're doing. So I congratulate you for that.
Thank you, Mr. Riddle.
Yeah, for me, go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
I just wanted to say, I think we could do both. I see Ms. Hannah's point, and we have started, Dr. Cesario had a, I forget what he called the session, but when they came and spoke, and we were kind of virtually in a conference.
The right to read.
The right to read, yeah. So we could do both,
nice.
because
Yes.
some teachers also need to be in the classrooms on their own, you know, PD time, choosing when, like which conferences they can go to, and then when it comes to professional development for the whole, you know, that's something that the whole district needs to consider for all of the staff members. So it could be both. For me, in my opinion, it could be both.
Yeah, it's
I
not
just
a,
wanna
it's
say
not an or, it's an and. I do want to say that we heard from the board as it related to in the community wanting to have more professional development opportunities for teachers. And so we need to highlight and call out any times we are sending staff that are selecting to go to these conferences. That's what I've heard from staff they want is the option to go away, learn this information, and so I do see the benefit of that. We have site-based budgeting, and these are the plans and goals that are set up at each of those schools. So I 100% support it, and I support Ms. Hannah's efforts in order to see these readings implemented as a PD throughout our entire district. It's because what we heard and what we said and how I started off with board president time is that what we are doing hasn't had the intended outcome that we want, right? And so we do need to do some things differently. And so, Ms. Hannah, I do want you to know is that I'm not seeing this as an either or, it's an and kind of two separate conversations is what one school is doing to support teachers at the third grade level around reading and allowing these teachers to go to this conference. And I know the administration heard as they talk about a strategic plan how we implement these PD and successful strategies throughout the entire district. So we do have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes, and I would like to say that I do fully agree with Ms. Hannah's passion about this, and because reading is important for all of our children, and it's critical that they learn. So I think this begins the conversation. So yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We're now at item 12C, approval of ADA signage
you.
purchase and
Thank you.
installation. Thank you.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the payment to Fast Signs for the purchase and installation of ADA compliant signage at 11 schools.
So moved.
Second. Oh, Mr. Riddle, either one.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, a motion by Ms. Leguizamo. Second I heard was Mr. Riddle. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
See the signs when they come in.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. Item D, approval of professional service agreement with Kevin Kreckenberg.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorizes superintendent to approve the sign and professional service agreement with Kevin Kreckenberg effective January 2nd to June 30th, 2023.
Mr. Riddle, are you done, Finn?
Yeah, do we have a
okay.
motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve this, and thank Mr. Kruckelberg for agreeing to this. We value his services so much, and we know that he can continue steer a clear path for the projects we have ongoing.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Hannah. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Leguizamo.
I believe we just need to make a update to the public content portion of that. Mr. Kruckerberg, I believe you are retiring in December 30th, 2022, not as indicated on the comment of 2023.
Yes.
You know, I was trying. We're trying to keep you.
I think we tried to slip that in
I see you
there.
have the Florida colors ready to
Yes.
rock and roll. So if the motions could be amended to
I'll
please.
amend the motion as stated by Ms. Leguizamo.
To show the correction that the retirement is 2020 and not 2023. All right, motion by Mr. Riddle. Ms. Hannah, do you also amend your motion, your second?
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta make sure.
Yeah.
All right, roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride. Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
I should say no because he doesn't need to go. But I would not do that to you. Yes, so yes.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes, and thank you.
President Ewing.
Yes. All right, we are at item E, approval of bid for mechanical equipment pre-purchase for the proposed educational service center.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve the purchase of mechanical equipment from Windy City Representative via Sourcewell contract number 070121-JHN for the new proposed educational services center.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion we approve item E as read by the superintendent.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yeah, I got some questions.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
Also.
Okay, first off, I see the funding source is Capital Projects Fund 60. Now, where is that is local funding. Why are we not using the money, the grant money that the state representative gave to us for the wraparound center construction? Why are we using capital improvement funds for this this project here? And I really need to understand why this is being done this way and not with the money that has already been approved and granted in the grant.
And I'm sorry
for 214 Washington Street.
And I'm sorry to make you walk, Ms. Polk, but Mr. Alajakis is asking if you can use, or individuals can use the podium so they can be seen.
No, that's okay. Mr. Moten can't answer the question. Were you sick, Ms. Polk?
That's okay. Board President, board members, superintendent, community members. Fund 60 is Fund 60. The source of funds doesn't really matter. We would still charge it to capital projects because it is a capital projects fund.
Okay, my question was, how come we are not using the money that has been granted to us from State Representative Rita Mayfield for the wraparound project?
Yes.
And not Fund 60.
Okay. Fund 60 is the fund.
Fund
we
60.
have various sources of funds that would go into Fund 60. We have local, and we have capital project grants that would still be accounted for in Fund 60. We intend to transfer those expenses, if we initially charge it to local, into the grant, because you know that for that grant, it's reimbursable. We have to spend our money and then we get reimbursed for it. But I don't want you to confuse that Fund 60 is just a fund where we put all of those charges in. But irrespective of whether it's local funds, whether it's the wraparound funds that we have, or any other capital development grant, we would account for it in Fund 60.
And so so on the books, okay, the bookkeeping of the funds.
Yes.
It will be a distinction.
Yes.
Of, is the $530,000, right? Is that going to say that this came out of the 2.5 million?
Yes.
That the state gave us to execute that wraparound center?
Yes, we identify the source of funds in the long string accounting. So we would be able to say, yes, this was an allowable expense that was outlined in the approved grant narrative.
We haven't received the funds yet.
It's all reimbursable.
It's reimbursable.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Board President.
Go ahead, Ms. Leguizamo.
Thank you. This is not a financial question. This is an operations question. So this would be for Mr. Moten, but Superintendent. I did submit this question in advance, and originally I had thought that when we walked through that building, that these items were mentioned as well maintained by the previous owners, and was trying to understand why we're requesting for these to be changed out, because I thought that our main focus was going to be on office spaces, so more of the interior design upgrades of the building.
Deputy Moulton.
Good evening, Glenn. That's an excellent question. So right now, the equipment within the building, the mechanical equipment, the heavy-duty mechanical equipment, it's listed on the agenda item, is reaching within 2 years its maximum life expectancy. So instead of having to close down parts of the building and address it in the future or the near future potentially, we would like to address it now. Additionally, when the building was currently occupied, it was not 100% utilized. So there were some unoccupied spaces that did not have mechanical service provided to it, most specifically the wraparound center in the basement level. So we want to ensure that the equipment that we have in the building supports the whole building top to bottom, but again, services directly the areas that were not occupied with the previous tenant.
Okay, and so this is in addition to what was estimated originally then?
No.
Or this is inclusive of what the original estimated amount was for updating the building?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct. We did have a line item addressed for any mechanical equipment that may need to be repaired or replaced.
All right, I was almost gonna ask for us to hold this over because I was at a position where I don't think that we've heard enough about the plan in order us to fully understand what the whole, like which area is going to be what, and so on and so forth. Like, we have had some preliminary conversations, but we haven't had like the concrete conversation or presentation or plan on that. So I don't know how the rest of the board is ready to proceed with the vote on this, or did you want to see that concrete plan before we proceed with purchasing some items? Now, I understand the reason why, right? Because you do want to get that the cost of today for what could potentially be not available tomorrow, and that was one of the things I believe I read in here. So just also wanted to understand that from a board perspective.
I agree with Ms. Leguizamo, and for the exact reasons that we have not seen complete plans. We don't know. You know, we're not gonna do, we own this building, okay? Unfortunately. But it's going to take more than piecemealing here, piecemealing there, grabbing money here, putting it here. No, that's not how a well-run operation should go. We need to know, as the Board of Education, what we're looking at as a whole, a complete project. Okay, and now I'm certainly hoping that Ms. Leguizamo and myself could get a concurrence of that, because it's only the most common sense thing to do.
So, if I can make a comment quickly, and we do have our architect who's supporting us with the project here that can go into more detail about the overall timeline, and when some of those additional details will come to you. But the reason this is coming to you this evening is, one, yes, we want to solidify the equipment. As we go through this, that changes on a week-to-week basis, but I also wanted to stress the timeline here to open the wraparound center as approved in our Illinois Criminal Justice Authority grant, as well as our Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity grant. The reason why it's coming to you this evening is because there's very specific dates in that grant that we propose we would be open specifically for the wraparound center. This is not ideal coming in this fashion. However, because supply chain industry is, I would say it's probably gotten a little worse than better. We do want to stick to our overall timeline, specifically for the wraparound center, to open it in the fall of 2023. So this purchase for mechanical equipment, the pre-purchase, which we have done for previous mechanical projects, specifically as it relates to unit ventilators in some instances, is necessary to keep on that overall schedule specifically for that grant-funded initiative. We do need to show the expenditures supporting that initiative, as well as keep our preliminary timeline in order for us to continue to get the funding support through the grant beyond calendar year 2023.
So, Mr. Moten, I appreciate that additional explanation. So, I mean, as you've kind of previewed here, right, the wraparound center is expected to be in the basement area, right? Can you please confirm, will that be ADA compliant for our families? Because I was hoping that our wraparound center would be more on the first floor.
Thank you.
Even though I see the intimacy of the basement level, right? But I thought the first floor was the most easiest accessible for our families and communities, and the wraparound center. So that's why when I was saying like the concrete plans about what was going to go where and so on and so forth, that's where I was concerned about, because I know that there's also has been historical issues with that building's elevator, you know, from previous bank employees and so on and so forth have mentioned that. And so that's why I wanted to address that concern, if it is in the basement.
And if
You know, I don't know how much time you want to spend on this, Mr.
Is,
President.
is it going to be ADA compliant? I think is the question.
That's the main question.
Okay.
Go ahead, Ms. Anna.
Yeah, okay, I worked in that building. As a matter of fact, I worked in the basement. Okay, and the basement, okay, is not that big. Okay, for the operation of a wraparound center. Okay, and I'm like you, I'm thinking the wraparound center was gonna go on the main floor.
So
on the first floor, and if that's not what's happening,
So my
I'm
recommend
really not for it.
so my recommendation, Mr. Moten, is because I do understand that the original plan and blueprint that was presented to the board included a first floor that would do front-facing district interactions, and the basement would be the wraparound center. That was what was agreed and approved. But I do think that it may help in order to provide a refresher. I do understand the timeline as it relates to that. Would moving it to January, I know every week is is precious, and I get that from the Capital Improvement Committee, but I do want us to be transparent to the board and the community, and there seems to be some confusion. We haven't revisited since May as far as the overall plan. It is available as an attachment on that board docs item. The intent was clear from that original presentation. It was always first floor for district-facing parent, things that communities would have to come into, and then the basement was going to be the wraparound center, and that was the plan that was presented to ICEJA. Is that correct?
That is correct. The information that was provided earlier this year is what was presented to ICEJA. The location of the wraparound center has not changed. As far as the dimensions of rooms, storage facilities, where we put restrooms, those are the fine details we're currently working on. But as far as front-facing departments on the first floor, certain departments on the upper floors, the mezzanine and the wraparound in the basement, that concept of location where certain departments is going has not changed.
Thank you.
Would it affect the grant if they hold over Devo? I think that's the question on the floor.
Or
Can you-
would it substantially? I know it will,
Well,
but
look.
will it substantially delay timeline if we?
we just give them yes, no. I mean, I'm more worried about the grant and losing money, or I don't know if it's
Well,
just.
look,
So will we
might
meet the
lose
timeline of the
money.
grant, and will it hurt you mechanically? Just answer those two. If not, let's just hold it.
There's no operations meeting.
So the proposal does identify a 7-month lead time, so it's very aggressive. Again, the lead times have changed literally week to week as we've gone through this in the fall. Mr. Icorn is here with Wald Architects. Maybe he can talk more specifically regarding the Sourcewell contract and the lead times, but we did express, Ms. Mayfield was aware as well as our earlier year presentation, that the fall of 2023 is when we look to open the wraparound center. In our mind, that means August, so every day is critical. Again, I don't want to put him on the spot, but he could speak to if this were delayed another month, how that could impact the timeline, because on the back end, the delay could mean another 2 months as far as receiving equipment.
I'm okay to vote, Board President. Just want to let you know.
Mr.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, Ms.
I'm
Wozniak. I see
Mike
your hand.
Eichhorn from Wold Architects. The lead times for the units are very long, and so another delay of a month would push the opening into the end of September, so it would push it a month.
And pushing it a month, and would we still hit potentially, and this is a Deputy Moulton, or even if you're aware, right, as we said, a fall opening, does it have to be August? Does it have to be October? Does it have to be November? I think that's the question of the board, is I want everybody to be comfortable with the action. Ms. Wozniak, I'll let you ask the question, and then I'll repeat if Deputy Moulton didn't hear.
This is infrastructure work that would have to be done no matter what. And whether we have design plans or not, it's going to have to be done, right?
That is correct. And again, this is just the equipment pre-purchase. We still need to issue the RFP for contractors to bid to provide the labor to install it. This is just to ensure that the equipment is here, and regardless of whether this center opened in 6 months or 12 months, the same equipment would still need to be purchased.
Can I make a comment as well? I was gonna make the same comment as Ms. Wozniak, but what I would want to ask from the board is that we really need to believe in this project because we saw the proposal for several buildings, and it could really make a difference in the lives of some of our staff members here in Lincoln Center, our students, the partners that we have, and that building is ours no matter what. So we need to work on it. And I also want to bring back to people's minds the fact that CLC's Lakeshore campus is opening. It's there. We could be strategic partners as they open if we figure out what we want to do with this building. And no matter what happens, exactly what Ms. Callahan Wozniak said, it needs to be ready for people to do anything in it, period. So I don't see the issue. And someone earlier said, why doesn't D60 talk about making, buildings better, new construction? Because we had such a debate on the building in general, which I understand why, but this is why we don't have those announcements, right?
So we do have a motion in a second. We also had a request to hold over. Does anybody withdraw their motion?
No, Board President, I withdraw that. I said, I had mentioned that I was thinking of asking, right? And that's why I just wanted to have a small little quick conversation about the wraparound, because I didn't remember that it was proposed as the basement level. So I appreciate you putting that in there. And I'm going to take a look at that plan again because it's kind of been a while. So, you know, I am in complete support of the building, right? I just didn't think that that was one of the things, one of the asks, because I thought that the previous owners had well maintained that building before. And so I appreciate that. And Board President, if you'd like to go ahead and call point of order.
So does anybody withdraw their motion?
Who motion?
Withdraw it, no.
So if nobody right, I have to ask.
Oh,
There
okay.
was something that was put on. Nobody's withdrawing their motion. Hmm?
Comment time?
What do you mean?
I mean, did we have a motion?
Yes,
We
we have
got
a second and a
and a
motion.
second.
Who wants to go through?
Let's call the question. We've talked about this long enough.
So Ms.
Roll call
Callahan.
vote.
Yep.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
I'm gonna say no because our children deserve better than to be thrust down into that space in that bank building. They deserve to be up higher, okay, and services and if they're going to be if we're going to be providing services to students and families, why would we put them in a basement?
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Before I vote, I do want to say is having seen the plan, having seen what the intent is, having gone to Peoria and saw how the space was utilized in order to benefit students in the entire community, I don't believe that it is belittling or demeaning. Again, I was opposed to the building. Everybody knows that. I voted against it. But what we've done is create something that I build, given what I started this meeting saying, is our babies are dying, and we have services that are not linked or coordinated in District 60 and Waukegan, point blank, period. And so I will, again, this is, and I'm not giving this to y'all as an option, but even if we sell the building, it would increase the value. So I see no harm in procuring this equipment. We still have to bid it, and we do still, I would suggest, not suggest, I'm going to say that we bring back and re-update the board and the community on the plan and timeline. But this is a preliminary purchase to deal with the delays. We have a lot of projects that we want to get done this summer. So as someone that sits on the Capital Improvement Committee, I will support this effort. And I do want to, Mr. Kruckenberg, now that we've secured you, and Deputy Moulton, bring forward those other recommended items so that if we need to take action and get those things put into motion as well. It's because just like we heard from one of our public speakers, is we got to see drastic changes to facilities, and we know it's always a lot of conversation as to what gets done first. I think that individuals will be excited to see some of the things that we need to get done for District 60 students. So, well, you voted yes already, but I'll let you. We can finish this and then I'll come right
go
back
ahead.
to you.
Go ahead.
So mine is a yes. Motion approved. Item carries, and I'll let Mr. McBride get the final comment on this item.
Is it okay to comment?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, with this wraparound center, why did it even exist? We got kids right now. You see those top line cabs running around in Speedway, picking up our kids every day, taking them to Des Plaines, taking them out to Lindenhurst. These are kids from the community. And when you do that, when Brandon say our kids are traumatized, when you take kids and get them up in the morning at 6 o'clock every morning and drive them down to Des Plaines, and they got to drive back every morning in that cab, that's traumatizing right there. Then you take them away from their homes, from their loved ones, their peers, and put them somewhere else into another neighborhood where they don't even know kids when they see them. That's traumatizing. And also, when you look at the dollar amount that we're spending to do this, if you ever looked at the dollar amount that you look what we use to transport these kids around Illinois, when I say even up to Wisconsin, we're sending them. If you look at the dollar amount, I don't think you have a hard time trying to figure out this wraparound center. So my passion about this wraparound center, that it would help relieve some of the trauma that we're putting on our kids today. Actually, right now, I got a grandson that had an IEP, could have used the wraparound center. Right now, contemplating suicide. I can't deal with him because, number one, the IEP has sent him down to Des Plaines every day, discombobulated. He never had an opportunity to be around his peers that he did grow up with when he was in elementary school, because of the IEP said that he was unfit and can't nobody deal with him in the district, so we got to send him somewhere else. But right now, I'm having a hard time with him right now because of the fact of drama that he has went through with that IEP, going back and forth every day down to Des Plaines. And at this point, he's not in school and he's 17 years old. He's lost, all because of the fact that what the IEP has done to him. Whether you recognize it or not, I recognize it because he's my grandson, and I recognize what he's been going through after the IEP. So this wraparound center hopefully will help. Hopefully, that's Miss Hannah. I know what I'm looking at.
I understand,
but I'm hoping the wraparound center will resolve some of these issues of putting our kids in cabs, taking them other places.
Thank you, Mr. McBride.
I understand that's not what the wraparound center is, though.
Next item is 12F, approval for the real estate lease agreement with J&B Auto Service and Towing.
It is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education authorize the superintendent to approve and sign a real estate lease agreement with J&B Auto Service and Towing.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion that we approve item 12F as read by the superintendent.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Mr. McBride. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Yes.
Comment as well.
I have a comment, sir. I noticed that there's item 12 says that for termination without cause, that we as the leasers may terminate this agreement or contract with 1 month's written notice. So because of that, I'm a landlord myself and I rent out property. I wouldn't normally enter into a 10-year lease with anybody, but with this one clause in here that we can terminate it without cause with 1 month's written notice, I'm going to go ahead. The property's sitting idle right now. We might as well get some money for it, and so I'm going to approve it.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Thank you, Board President. Actually, I respect your opinion, Mr. Riddle. I disagree. At this moment, my vote is currently a no. The reason is because I have some lack of confidence issues in regards to this business and the safety of our students of having that business in that area. And I don't want to go into too much detail in regards to my concern with that business and its location. But on top of that, I also believe that this agreement is not sufficient enough financially in order for us to continue or proceed or begin this type of relationship. So that is my stance, and I don't know if maybe the board here would probably want to hold this over, get a little bit more information about this business, about its location, about maybe renegotiating the contract. I'm amendable to that, but at this moment, my vote would be a no.
My comments, Brandon?
Sure.
As you said, Mr. Bukovic, it's about time we moving forward on the building. I think you came to us sometime maybe in the past complaining about that particular building, and it hasn't been used in years, and we've been maintaining it with the snow removal and everything else. So it's like property over. We got 2 or 3 different properties that I know of since I've been on the board that's been laying dormant and we're not doing nothing with it. And for us to be able to reap some income from these properties, and then too, as to Mrs. Lamazamo's point, right now we got a police officer sitting on that same street because we can't drop kids off over there. So for kids to be trying to park there and go back and forth across the street, that's a no-no. Number one, we can't even drop the kids off in front of the building there now. But my disposition is that if we got a piece of property that we ain't doing nothing with, that's dollars that we can use as I was saying to Mrs. Lamas, for ROTC, some of the other complaints that's been made about where funds are at, and that's just my disposition on, as far as that property goes.
Thank you for that, and I'm sorry, I don't want to go on again, but you know, one of my main concerns about this business is that I know that they park their cars on the sidewalk, and that is where our students walk and need safe passageway into our school buildings, and that is just something that you see on an annual basis every day, and so if a business can't respect our community in a particular way, I feel a different kind of way about it. So that's why I talk about a little bit about some lack of confidence in this type of business and their behaviors. So that I don't want to put too much out there, right? But that's just one major concern, especially for me. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Hannah.
I'm concerned because when I was reading this, I wasn't too sure if this was telling us that for the first 3 12-month periods of this agreement shall be $1,200 for each 12-month period, meaning for each month for 12 months, for 3 years, we were going to be garnering $1,200 per month, not $1,200 3 times. 3 times out of 3 years. And as Mr. Vukovic said, this is nothing. You know, so I can't support this either.
Well, Ms. Hannah, Mr. Moulton, would you come and explain, because I had some same questions like you did, Ms. Hannah, but come and explain that all the other properties are pretty much that we're leasing is adjacent to the same footage and everything dealing with this lot.
Good evening again. So this current agreement is modeled after the agreement that we did for the property on the south of Lion Magnet School, which is a tax service property, where we're charging that vendor $900 per year to use approximately 8 to 10 parking spaces for her business. So, and that was several years ago when Mr. Morris was here, but I just want to remind the board of that. So this document that was the template for this document, and a similar concept as it relates to financial requests.
If they're not ready to, if they're not willing to remove their motion, then I call for a vote.
All right, well, she called the question. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
No.
Ms. Leguizamo.
No.
President Ewing.
No. Item approved, motion carries. We're now at item 13A, personnel. So if we can read.
Mr. Moulton, before I read the item, there were some concerns around safety issues regarding cars parked on sidewalks. I do know the owners here. I hope you hear our board's concerns and make an effort to correct that for the safety of our students, and we could be good partners together. It is the recommendation that the Board of Education I apologize. Prior to me reading this recommendation, we are going to hold F992. I want to apologize to Mr. Dupree and his family who's here tonight. There is a typo that was made on behalf of the administration, so we are going to hold this over to our next scheduled meeting, where we will then bring forward the appointment of Mr. Dupree in January. So I want to publicly apologize for our error, and thank you for understanding, Mr. Dupree.
Thank you for coming out this evening.
Yeah, thank
I
you.
hope this was engaging and fun for you.
It is the recommendation that the Board of Education accept the administration's recommendation to approve the appointments, terminations, and accept the resignations as found on schedules G650 and L939.
And F992 with the exception of the first name of administrative appointments.
Okay. And F992 with the exception of the first name of administrative appointments.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second from Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or questions on the motion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
Yes.
Ms. Lekisamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at our financial report. So we have proposed tax year 2022 aggregate levy.
It is a recommendation that the Board of Education authorize and adapt the estimated property tax levy for tax year 2022 and the Truth in Taxation Resolution and authorize the administration to submit the approved levy and the Truth in Taxation Resolution to the Lake County, Illinois County Assessor's Office.
Mr. Riddle, I'll make a motion that we approve the item as read by the superintendent.
Motion by Mr. Riddle,
Second.
second by Ms. Wozniak. Any comments or questions on the motion?
Would we want to bring Ms. Polk? I know she's having trouble, speaking, but would it be possible to have her just briefly go over why we're doing this and why we're going up to the less than 5% EAV there? 4.98.
Yes, each year we present to the Board of Education the levy as required by statute because we have to have it approved by the last Tuesday in December. Because we're not going over 105% of the previous year's extension, there is no obligation for us to do the truth in taxation. But because of transparency, we go ahead and post it in the newspaper so that the public is aware of what we propose to do. We know that it is the desire of the board, as it has been for the past 3 years or so, to keep the taxes level. But as I've said over the course of the past years, we go up to almost the 5%. We go up to like 4.98 or 4.99 this year, 4.98. So that we maximize the amount of money that we could potentially get, because we don't know what the EAV is really going to be. We do reach out to the county as we did this year, and the estimate is 9% increase in the EAV, but we don't know if in fact that is going to be the case. So we posted in the newspaper on December the 3rd, just for informational purposes, but you'll notice that we did not hold a public hearing because we're not required to do so. However, as I've said before, we don't want to not inform the community of what we are doing. In the packet, we included what would be the impact if we were to get approved for the tax relief grant. We did apply for the tax relief grant, but as you know, in the past couple of years, because we don't levy high, right? We voluntarily keep our taxes low. We don't qualify for the tax relief grant. But I went ahead and I calculated what would possibly be the impact of a senior citizen's home at a particular value, as well as one who is not a senior. What would be the impact on their taxes based upon the EAV that we used in the 4.98% increase. So you'll notice in that packet that I have going up to that 4.98% increase. I also included in that packet, if we were to keep the taxes level, what would be the impact? And I also included in the packet if we got the tax relief grant, just so that you would see what the variations would be. If we were to go up to the max. Let's assume that all of our estimates are accurate. It would be an increase from the prior year extension of about $114,000 that we would increase it if that would be the desire of the board. But that does not happen until about March or April timeframe. But this is for us to adopt or approve the levy so that we could get it to the county. Are there any questions?
So, Ms. Polk, in layman's terms, we raising taxes?
No, this is not raising the taxes. This is ensuring that we don't leave money on the table if it is the desire of the board to maximize levy. But if the board decides that they want to keep the taxes level, then when we do the actual extension in March or April, then that's where we would bring it down. It is my recommendation, I have to say this, it is my recommendation that if we choose to keep the taxes level, that we maximize our extension and then we abate, so that we wouldn't lose that base in future years. But because we've kept it level over the past few years, we've lost that base, compounded each year.
Right,
So
about $1 million, I think you had told
Each
me?
year, yes.
Each
Each
year.
year.
So
Yes.
we can lower this in March, but right now, this is your recommendation, and we used to do this in the past. Yes, up to
Yes.
just below the 5%.
yes.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. I think that's what we should do.
And I know Ms. Polk, and she knows my stance, and my wish would be that we do keep taxes level. I do believe that we are, it's important that we fund education, and we need to stay on our state legislatures, and I mean not our two state legislators, because they do an amazing job, but we are only funded at 60% of adequacy based on the state's own standards. However, we pay a large percentage of taxes in comparison to our home values, and the financier in me is saying that, quiet as it's kept, we are near or in a recession, right? And so increasing taxes, right? Taxes are going to go up based on this, our homes are worth more, which is a good thing.
Right.
But that also means that you're paying more in taxes. And so I support Ms. Polk. I'm going to support this effort and initiative. I just wanted to publicly go on record with my stance moving into March or April. So I know why you're doing it. I get it. Yeah, we appreciate it. Ms. Leguizamo.
Ms. Polk, can you clarify, so for the first 3 years that we have held the tax extension leveled, did we lose our base for those 3 years? Because we kept it at that, and we
Yes.
didn't, but this year, so we're going to maximize and then abate.
That's what we're
So that we
asking
can
you
have
to
a
do
new,
in
so we
March or
could,
April.
and this is
yes.
something different, right?
Yes.
This is something different that we've been doing for the past 3 years. Before, we've been just kind of leaving it on the table.
That's right.
Right now, we're kind of like saying, you know what, give me all the money, but then we're going to give it right
Give it
back.
back.
That's right.
We're going to give you this particular portion back.
That's right.
Great. And the other thing, Ms. Polk, you
yes.
said is, it was important, is that now we have a better chance, if we do this, of getting that, what's it called? What is it?
Tax relief
Yeah,
grant.
Tax relief?
Tax
Yeah,
relief.
grant. Yes, right.
And-
Gives
and-
us a little better chance.
Because we've always been shy of hitting that number,
a
right?
little
But then also it's our base level that is really important.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Ms.
And
Polk.
Is this is an open hearing or?
No, it's not. No,
No,
it's
okay,
it's board
got it.
action. All right, so we got a motion and a second. We've had our discussion.
Thank you.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
No.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at item 16B, ratification of the first processing of December 2022 board bills, manual check request payments, and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 16th, 2022 through December 6th, 2022.
It is a recommendation of the administration that the Board of Education ratify the first processing of board bills for December 2022 and manual check request payments and Old National Bank insurance payments for the period of November 16, 2022 through December 6, 2022. The accounts payable board November 16, 2022 through December 6, 2022 payments total $2,719,408.50. The manual check request payments for the period of November 16, 2022 through December 6, 2022, total $2,170,378. The Old National Bank insurance payment for the period of November 16, 2022 through December 6, 2022, total $1,863,748.08.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion that we approve item 16B as just read by the superintendent.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Riddle, second. I heard Ms. Leguizamo. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any comments or questions?
Yeah, I had some questions regarding the financial reports, but I didn't get a chance earlier to talk with the superintendent via Ms. Polk via the superintendent. So I'm gonna pass on this. And I will talk with Ms. Polk about the items that.
Thank you, Ms. Hannah. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride. Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
I'm gonna pass.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item approved, motion carries. We are now at committee reports. It's 9:17, and we've lost the majority of our audience, and we still have to go back into closed session. So are there any committee report updates at this time?
I can make one very short update. The Equity Advisory Council met last Wednesday. We welcomed in some new members, and we have the policies that we're slated to look at. And the very next day, on Thursday, the PTAC met. So we're getting started with our committees, looking specifically again at policy 6040. More to come.
That's it. Perfect.
Thank you. All right, we our delegates report, Ms. Hannah.
I'll forego it
Thank
because
you.
of time.
Superintendent's report.
Due to time, I'm going to forego mine. Also, just want to wish everyone a happy holidays.
All right, we got facility usage request from Lake County Department of Transportation. That's an information item. FOIA report has been there, and the Lincoln Center steam heat condensation repair has been placed there for information. Under old business, we have our old business items. So Superintendent.
It is recommended that the Board of Education approve the amendments to Board Policy 5301, graduation requirements, as set forth for fourth reading and recommended by the Equity Policy Review Work Group and Administration.
Mr. Riddle, I make a motion that we approve item 19A as read by the superintendent.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Riddle, second by Ms. Gonzalez. Any comments, questions on the motion?
Comments?
Go ahead, Ms. Leguizamo.
I know that we had someone mention in regards to also removing the GPA weight that goes along with the courses that we're transitioning from a graduation credit to participation. I thank him for his insight and his feedback. But I want to just mention that I agree with keeping the GPA weight. And for me, myself, is because although we're removing some barriers, we still have to hold accountability to our students to a particular level. And so I feel that it's important that it does impact them in a way, and that and our teachers had mentioned that they want to make sure that that their grades that they're giving them, that their students are also feeling the accountability that they're receiving under that grade level. So I just wanted to make a comment on that one, and that I am in support of this policy. Thank you, Board President.
And can I? Oh, go ahead.
Ms. Gonzalez, Ms. Hannah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just like to say that hopefully we are not taking away the GPA because it serves so many purposes, from scholarships to college admissions to everything, and so hopefully we're not doing that.
No, that's not
Okay,
right.
good. And my last comment is that I was on the board when we raised our graduation requirements. And there was a reason that we did that here in Waukegan, because of we were the Tri-City schools, and we were surrounded by other influential districts that were they thought that their students were kind of outperforming us, when in fact, okay, we were on the same
Field.
you know, okay,
Playing field?
playing field or whatever, right? And when because we used to be at 18 credits, and we wanted our students to have the a better a higher expectation, like all of the other surrounding school districts. And so that was the reason why the previous boards always kept that 22, anywhere from 22, because it fluctuated from 22 all the way up to 24, 23, 24, okay? But we wanted our students to feel like they could compete with those other school districts. So that's okay. But if it's is it my time to vote? No, ma'am. That's it.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yeah, I just wanted to go last because I want to reiterate that in the policy, we don't take away GPA.
You want to go last?
Oh.
Do you want to go last?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right. So I will give my opinion. I've tried not to put my finger on the scale, and I appreciate the work that was done. I support parts of this policy, and so I want to state that publicly. I, want to affirm the intent, and that it was to eliminate barriers and figure out ways in order for our high school to deal with the problem that they didn't necessarily create, but are tasked with dealing with. They gave clear rationale, and there was a significant amount of policy discussion, and which centered and focused on equity. And so I want to affirm. The second thing I agree with is while PE health is super important, I don't believe that it should be the only barrier to graduation. And so I do agree that it should be GPA bearing, but as somebody who is not proud to admit but failed a semester at gym, which prevented me from graduating a full semester early, which delayed my opportunity of enrolling in the College of Lake County. I don't think that gym should be a barrier, right? But we want our students to go. We want them to perform. Those that do well, I would want them to have credit, and those who did not perform, I would want it to impact their GPA, but I don't see the benefit of having somebody take 2 and 3 and 4 gyms in order to make up credits and get out of high school. I also want to reaffirm the importance of our freshman seminar and agree that it should only be a requirement for freshmen. So those are the things I agree with. What I disagree with is the lowering of the credits. I felt that we could keep the credits at a similar place, eliminate, as we saw, over 1,000 people fell in gym. Not having to retake that would open up some things in those schedules, and I didn't want to make this decision until we saw the plan for pathways. So while I recognize the efforts and I understand the decision, that was made that is different to mine. What I will say is, while I agree with some of the policy, I do disagree with the lowering of the credits to 17, although I understand why the group arrived at that decision, and so while my vote will be no, I do want to affirm the work that was done and the amount of deliberation that was taken and the advocacy around it as well. A creative thing that but again, Ms. Hannah, I do want to also, while I agree with you and Lauren, that none of our students who are watching this video should aspire for the bottom, right?
That's right.
None of 17 is, if the board approves it, would be the minimum. However, the students have opportunities to earn 26 plus. I also see Miss Fulton in the audience, and I'm sorry, Miss Fulton, but I want to see our students that are graduating high school then enrolling in the College of Lake County so that they can get those college credits if we're going to do this, right? So those are some things that I hope Principal Hill, I'm not going to put him on the spot, but he's been advocating as Brandon continues to talk about creating opportunities for joy. He reminds me is that by freeing up time in the schedule, it will give those opportunities for support. And while I don't see it the exact same way, I don't deny his heart. And I think that is the main thing. This is not done solely to increase numbers. It's done using Equity Lens, a policy review committee that did take this, and then board discussion that went 6+ months, right? So while I have come to my decision, I don't know how everybody else would vote. If if a majority didn't approve, the current policy would stand. But the superintendent, at my request, has held this to the 11th hour. So we got to make a decision, yes or no. Because if it's no, they got to plan for next year. If it's yes, they have to plan for next year. But I really did want to make it clear why I'd be voting the way that I am. I saw Ms. Wozniak's hand, and then I'm going to go to Ms. Gonzalez, who requested the last comment.
No, you covered it with the 17 is the minimum. That's not the requirement. You can take, 26 credit courses.
And not can take, would be enrolled in more.
Would be enrolled in that and can achieve and have a rigorous schedule.
Thank you.
So then why move it at all?
Go ahead, Ms. Gonzalez.
So I just wanted to reiterate that the policy doesn't recommend doing away with GPA. That is very much still a part of the policy. Like people have already mentioned, 17 is literally just the number. We expect our students to be fully enrolled in their courses, but what they asked of us was flexibility. What our staff is asking is flexibility. And if students are required to have more core courses, like very intense content courses, we have to get them to the level of being able to read at that level. Which requires specific interventions. And the equity piece for me, more than just providing that opportunity, it is requiring students to be able to go to lunch, enjoy lunch with friends, go to study halls, and meet with their coach, meet with their counselor, whatever program they're in. And this policy will provide that flexibility. 17 can just be for next year. Our credits are going to increase anyway because of the ISB regulations that have recently been passed. There's going to be more expectations on students in the coming years. So this is really about focusing on what's best for our students right now, and then leveling up and even transforming some of the classes that we already know need to be transformed. So yes, thank you.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle.
Yes.
Ms. Callahan-Wozniak.
Yes.
Mr. McBride.
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes.
Ms. Hannah.
No.
Ms. Leguizamo.
Yes.
President Ewing.
No. Item approved. Motion carries.
Can I quickly, I just want to thank this committee who met to work on this policy. I specifically want to thank Ms. Gonzalez, who led this policy work with the team all the way through. And I also want to thank Ms. Leguizamo. I know you came in on the tail end of it, but you gave a very different perspective. and all those committee members who put so much time and staff members who put so much time for this policy. So thank you for all your hard work.
And I'm sorry, Ms. Gutierrez, that I didn't acknowledge you
Yeah.
before the vote was taken, but I do want to hear your voice.
I just wanted to say I wholeheartedly agree with Adriana, and I think that we can't be at that 24 credits if we're not putting in the flexibility that we need in our schedules to first fix the cracks on the wall that these students are facing, either if it's trauma or if it's lack of motivation. I think that with this item on the agenda, they're kind of trying to implement that into our schedules to fix the small things first in order to grow large. And I think that 17 is just a number for now.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And I also believe that, these students have the potential, and I think it just brings more of a way that teachers and staff need to be pushing and motivating the students even more to not settle for 17. So I agree with the 17 credits. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Ms. Gutierrez, for that perspective. So we are at suspension, item 21A, student suspension appeal, case number 110722.
Yes, I have that motion here. Whereas the Board of Education of the Waukegan Unit School District 60 did through its hearing officer on November 29th, 2022, hold a hearing concerning the out-of-school suspension of student number 238, vandalism, level 2, gang activity, level 2, which was timely and appealed. And whereas the board received and reviewed the hearing officer's report, and whereas after considering the evidence taken at such hearing on November 29th, 2022, and considering the hearing officer's recommendations, now therefore it is hereby resolved that 1, the findings, conclusions, and recommendation of the hearing officer are accepted and ratified, including the finding that all available and appropriate interventions were attempted. 2, the suspension period of 7 days is hereby upheld due to the student not being denied due process, and the credible evidence in this case demonstrates that the student committed the acts of vandalism, gang activities, for which the student was disciplined, and students' continuing presence in the schools would substantially disrupt, impede, or interfere with the operation of the school. Number 3, the student's reintegration plan will be reviewed to include interventions to assist the student in understanding the impact of the student's contact. It is thereby moved by me, and I will make a motion that this resolution as read be adopted.
Motion by Mr. Riddle.
Second.
Second by Mr. McBride.
Comment.
Go ahead, Ms. Lozama.
So I just wanted to get a clarification in regards to the reading of the student identification number that was read out loud. And our legal counsel is currently looking and verifying that that student ID number was correct.
It's different here.
Yeah, so student number ending in 722.
Okay, and it was,
What, is the number correct that I read?
No, 722.
It's 722, okay.
okay, so then there would be a motion as corrected with student ID number ending in 722.
Yes, I make a motion then to amend that to student number 722. We need a second.
Second.
So motion and second by Mr. Riddle and Mr. McBride. Any, there are no further comments.
Oh, sorry, we will triple confirm something.
Okay. The case number and the student number are not the same.
So was
The
the
case number
238
is
number
different
correct?
than the student number, so 722 is part of the case number. It is not part of the student number.
Ah.
So that the original motion stands.
Original motion, thank you for that triple clarification.
Triple clarification, okay, so do I have to
Original motion
re-amend
stands.
that, or?
No.
No, so the
The
number is read
original
the first
motion.
time is correct. That is the student number, this was the case number in our board docs.
And it's better that it's a case number versus a student ID number.
Yes.
Go- roll call. Thank you. Request for roll call.
Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Mr. McBride,
Yes.
Ms. Gonzalez,
Abstain.
Ms. Hannah,
No.
Ms. Lekisamo,
Yes.
President Ewing.
No. Item approved, motion carries. I am going to ask, it's 9:35 and we still have to go into closed session, that we, outside of happy holidays, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas and happy holidays.
Kwanzaa,
Got it.
Feliz Navidad.
Yes,
and
Feliz Navidad.
Festivus for the rest of us, any and everything. We thank you all for sticking with us. Not unfortunately, the board does still have work to conduct, which, go ahead, Ms. Lozano.
Oh, sorry. I was just waiting for you, so I just wanted to. But yeah, I just wanted to mention one thing. So I wanted to thank the JROTC for the Waukegan High School Shout Out Award. Thank you for all that you do, and I appreciate the recognition as well. And so thank you for that, and I recognize you as a great entity in our school system. So thank you for that. Thank you, Board President.
So like a motion to go back into closed session under exception C1, specific personnel. I did. Oh, everybody, y'all all can say it. 1, 2, 3.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Awesome. So, but yeah, motion to go into closed session
I
under
motion.
exception.
Second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
C. I gotta read the motions. Exception C9, student discipline. C10, or no C10. C1, specific personnel. C2, collective bargaining negotiations. And C11, actual or threatened litigation. And I had a motion for Ms. Gonzalez, second for Ms. Leguizamo. Roll call vote.
Mr. Riddle,
Yes.
Ms. Callahan Wozniak,
Yes.
Mr. McBride, Ms. Gonzalez,
Yes.
Ms. Hannah, Ms. Lekisamo,
Yes.
President Ewing.
Yes, item. We are going into closed session, but restroom breaks, and then we can resume downstairs.